Welcome to Papillion UnScripted. I am Michael Severe, the place to go to hear from people who truly help Papillion feel like home. We're continuing our series talking with members of the Papillion City Council. This time in his third term, we're joined by Jason Gaines this morning. How are you feeling? How's everything going?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
What do you remember, like when you first decided, I'm going to run for City Council? What was the moment like for you? Why did you decide to do that?
I made the decision because ever since I was very young, I followed politics. Very interested in the city of Philadelphia, our Constitution, and just representing people, the concept of representing people. And the reason that I ultimately decided to run was I felt that my opponent at the time was representing individual people as opposed to the community. And I've never felt that that's the way that politicians or leaders should run it. You don't make decisions based on which individuals have the most money in the community. You make the decision on, how to best represent the entire community. So when I made my decision, it happened to be right around the time where we could file. I went and filed, and I instantly started going out and talking to people in the community.
So normally everything we do is based off of our experience. Obviously you hadn't done it before. How did you figure out how to do it?
Research. I went on the internet. I'm a big data person. I looked at, a lot of people's studies. I read books while I was campaigning. But I think ultimately what I felt in my heart was going out and talking to as many people as I could would be the way that I would get the votes. And surprisingly, I would knock on doors and people would say, "You're actually the candidate?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm actually the candidate." And that actually surprised me because I guess I assumed everybody, when they ran for a position, went out and knocked doors. But I went and I knocked at every single door in my ward. I did flyers, things like that. And I just, there were some little events that we held that didn't draw a lot of people per se to the event, but it drew some attention to the event. People were, "What's that event?" So they may not have been at the event, but they knew what was going on. But yeah, that's been my drive ever since I can remember, is to want to be a leader and to help people. So.
Now, where'd you grow up? Because you've been in Papillion for 30 years or so. Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Omaha.
Okay.
We moved here about halfway through my 8th grade year. Graduated from Papillion, the Monarchs, and in 1993. And in 1997, I went and I lived in Korea for a year.
Oh, wow.
As a contractor. And then I came back and mostly lived in Papillion since then.
And you went in military right after high school?
Yeah.
What did you do? What was your MOS?
I joined the Marine Corps and I was infantry.
Right.
So.
Wow. What did that, I always tell people joining the Army was the best thing I ever did in my life. It completely straightened me out, got me going. How did it affect you? I
think that the thing that I took out of the Marine Corps was discipline and hard work. I tell people all the time, if you want to do something, just do it. One of the things in the Marine Corps, they forbid you from saying "I'm trying," because trying is a sign of desperation. And I think that's a lesson that stayed with me was, if you want something, just go do it. And you can make it happen.
So. You adapt and you overcome. Figured it out. You started a business, which I think is helpful for people who are in public office, because you know how it affects people to have a business. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, prior to starting a business, I worked at a retail company for a few years, and I ran several stores and had quite a few employees. I started a business kind of out of necessity and luck. So I took a temporary job doing some work with a satellite provider, and it just kind of bloomed into starting my own company and running my own crew. And I think it's the same way. The concepts for me are very simple, and everything in life is all the same concepts. So when you own a business, you take care of your employees in a certain fashion to keep them there. You train them in a certain way to make sure that they're doing the best job they can, and the same thing flows over to City Council. For me, at least, I treat my constituents with respect. I represent them. I'm there for them. I had a a lady called me about a water meter about 8 years ago, and she was an older lady, and I said, she wasn't understanding me. And I said, well, what's your address? So I went to her house, and I explained, you know, the difference between Papillion's, you know, the fees, you know, that we charge one fee for the meter, or at this time, and other cities charge a monthly fee. And I said, so if you look at all these months that you pay on this, it's actually cheaper to do it this way. And I think that that's just a concept the same way that I've ran most of my life. So,
how do you feel the city council presently, and I know you're a brand new member in there now, but how do you feel it's working together? How do you feel like you guys are getting things done together?
You know, I'll tell you, one thing about this council, we don't always agree. Yeah. But we're always cordial after the fact. We usually, you know, work well with each other, and I believe that it's probably has something to do with the amount of respect that each council member has for the community, because we're a community that's growing quickly, and we just have to continuously balance our growth with maintaining our current infrastructure that we have. And that's one of the things, even back in 2012 when I first ran, maintaining our current infrastructure. Don't grow so fast that we can't afford to fix and keep up what we have, because that's how cities fail. But I think we do a good job of being educated. I think we work well together, and we'll see about the new council member how he fits in. But he has a good resume, and so I assume that he's knowledgeable, and it'll be good to have him on council.
You mentioned since you were a kid, you were into politics. Also thought about being an attorney, right?
I did.
Getting into law, and working on that now?
I am. So I graduate May 12th from Creighton Law. So it's been a lifelong dream, and it goes back to the Constitution. And maybe a lot of lawyers don't think about it quite that deep, even though that's what you study the whole time you're in. But it's all about defending the Constitution. So, you know, it gives you the opportunity to argue law, to fine-tune law, and there's things that are in the Constitution that it's not a perfect document, but it was a good outline for what rights we have. And you know, it's a difficult time to be in politics, and a difficult time to be in law because of all the turmoil that's going on in our society. But it hopefully will be a fruitful endeavor for me.
You sit next to Tom Mungard, who is obviously an attorney. Do you ever pick his brain?
But not sometimes. Different type of thing. He was, you know, he worked for a municipality
for a long time.
And I'm going more in a different direction. I'll probably do more criminal defense, family law type of stuff.
That's awesome. What would you say, if you're in your terms that you've been doing this, that you're most proud of, accomplishment-wise?
The most proud of the thing that I'm most proud of is probably Veterans Park.
Oh yeah.
But besides maintaining our infrastructure, I guess we'll backtrack and go to that. If you look at the budget for actual concrete replacement and repair in 2012 and look at it in 2023, there's a giant leap. And a lot of the credit for that also goes to Councilwoman Klug, because her and I worked on it together. And that's probably the biggest accomplishment. But the thing I'm probably most proud of is Veterans Park, and it's kind of ironic. The Marine Corps was founded in the Tun Tavern in Philadelphia, and Veterans Park was founded in a local bar here. Yeah. You know, Councilmember Ingberg and I were talking about it, and we had a very small vision. We never could have envisioned what it is today. But I was thinking, hey, let's go crazy and spend $10,000, you know, and now hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's not tax money, through donations and you know, different funds. It's a great place, and it's utilized. It's beautiful, and it's a, you know, if you look at what we had, Triangle Park is what it was then. You know, a field of dying grass, and now it's a beautiful park, and we've got the butterfly park next to it now. So
and every day it feels like something's being added to it. As well. You're a parent, right?
I am.
Yeah. Did your son play at Hastings? Did I have that right?
Yeah.
What was it like being a football parent?
It puts into perspective when you're watching college football.
I bet.
On TV, and you're like, you know, that's my son out there. I'm not rooting for somebody to hit him hard, or you know, and it puts into perspective they're a child, you know, an 18, 19, 20-year-old child. But yeah, he graduated a few years ago, and for the last 4 years, he's been going over to Europe playing professional football.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
And
that's
they,
awesome.
he was in. I'm trying to think of what. I'm embarrassed that I don't know what country he was in, but they won the national championship this last
I
year.
know
in football.
Netherlands is really good, and Finland has a really good
Yeah.
team over there too.
I think he
Germany,
was
obviously.
in. I think he was in France. Yeah,
Okay.
That's where he's played in France 2 years, Poland a year.
Wow.
So he traveled Europe, playing football and getting paid to do it.
It's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always ask this question kind of at the end. Is there something about the city of Papillion, whether it's an event or in a location that you think maybe doesn't get enough attention that you'd like to highlight?
Well, what I'm focusing on now, besides the infrastructure and things like that, is really Halleck Park. It's a very utilized space in the city, and I've had to put a lot of work into getting little sections of it repaired and enhanced. If you look at the other parks throughout the city, Halleck Park is the size of 20 or 30 of those other little parks, so it's a bigger expense. So it's taken some more time, but we do have replacement of the roads in the budget. We repaired probably 8 years ago the picnic shelter.
Yeah, that looks great.
So that I think that's one of my focuses right now is to make. If you go down there in the spring or the summer, it's packed all the time, and so it's nice to see some of the new exercise equipment that went in and some of the new park stuff that's been. But we just need to make sure that we keep that a centerpiece because it is our largest park.
Yeah.
But besides the lakes, it's our largest park, and we'll continue to work on that, and hopefully in the next couple of years we'll have new roads in there.
Yeah, well, it's something you probably don't deal with, but I'll tell you, as a parent that have kids that play Pokemon Go, they love Halleck Park. There's Pokemon Go stops throughout the park, and so many people come to Papillion just so they can drive through and play the Pokemon game.
Yep.
So we appreciate you taking care of the park, really. Yep. So hey, thank you. I appreciate it coming in. It's awesome. Good luck on the
Thanks for
law
having
degree,
me.
and that's awesome.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Join us again next time when we speak with someone who helps make Papillion feel like home.